Hello my ghosts and ghouls, welcome to my channel. If you are new and like what I do, you can check out my other videos on my channel and subscribe if you feel so inclined. If you are a returning viewer, welcome back, good to see you again. For this video I am doing a tutorial on how to draw expressions and faces, or more like expressions on faces. I got a few messages from people asking how I draw expressions, and I thought it would be really good to share the way I draw expressions to help anyone who's struggling or unsure of how to get started when they're sketching an expression. I know that there are many other ways and tutorials on how to do expressions online, and feel free to check out those ones as well, because all the knowledge is always great to improve your art. And because it is the month of spooks, a great old Halloween month that we all love and adore, I'm going to be turning these expressions into jack-o'-lantern expressions. Just to add a bit of festiveness to the channel, I have made a few other Halloween themed videos in honor of this month, so if you would like to check those out, please go to my channel. This is how I feel is very comfortable for me and hopefully others to draw an expression and get started with an expression, because that's something most people forget about. How do you start off an expression? And so that's what I'll be showing you today. And now first things first, you will need a reference, and you can get a reference from pretty much anywhere. I would recommend using your own face as a reference. Right now, as I am sketching these little faces, as you can see, I have a little mirror next to me as I'm drawing, and I'm trying to give myself a reference through my face in the mirror. If you don't want to use your own face, you can look up reference pictures of people online. I'd recommend using pictures of real life people, not like anime characters and stuff like that, because you won't really get much of a feel for how to continuously draw this expression in various ways if you're just looking at a picture someone else has already done. The human face is really weird and really incredible, considering it takes a lot of muscles just to make us frown and smile and cry and all that stuff. So reference from a real face, or maybe take photos instead of looking in a mirror and use them as references instead. Now, when I'm using my reference, I don't try to draw my whole face in detail. No, we don't want to do that. When I'm looking in the mirror or at my reference, trying to get my expression, I break my face down into basic shapes. So you've got just a random circle. It doesn't have to be a perfect circle. I mean, the head isn't a perfect circle. And then you want to get the eyes, which are just literally two circles, and the nose and the mouth. I like breaking down my reference to basic shapes that I can mess around with and try to, make the expression from my reference even more expressive in the illustration that I'm drawing. So once you've got your basic shapes, what I find is really good is to use the eyebrows. Eyebrows are a really big thing, and eyelids, as you can see me drawing now, to really give an expression. I feel like I'm saying expression a lot in this video, but you can portray emotions literally just through eyes most of the time, and I recommend practicing that a lot, similar to how you can see here with the faces I have created. Personally, I find when it comes to learning how to create something or drawing something in general or getting better, I find it's best to watch other people, as I've seen various step-by-steps on how to draw expressions, and I've never found them all that helpful when it came to being very free and expressive with the faces that I draw. And I'm not saying that those are bad or anything, no, I'm sure they've helped many people, but I found personally that when it comes to the human face, the human face is constantly different. It's never the same twice, and that can be said the same for expressions on characters and the emotions that they feel. Now, when I was in my classes at university and we were learning to draw through life models and all that stuff, the one thing my teacher will constantly tell us is that before you even think of adding detail or making your illustration look finalized, you need to make sure you are happy and understand how your sketch looks. And because you use your sketch as a very big reference and stepping stone to creating a final illustration, you want to make sure that you're happy with it and it looks accurate. It doesn't matter if it's messy. It doesn't have to look perfect or pretty like a finished illustration, because it is not a finished illustration. It is a sketch you will be using as the first stepping point to create your final illustration. However, through your sketch, you should not finalize the design in your head of what you want your illustration to look like. Now, I know that might have sounded confusing, but that is what my teacher would usually tell us during our life drawing classes, and it made us, or me mainly, not feel too worried about what my sketches would look like before we got into more finer detail when drawing the human figure and expressions. And this is something I encourage other people to do, as I have seen some artwork now where it's not bad, but you can tell that they've gone straight to making it look pretty and haven't given any thought to the layer. Everything involves layers. Ogres have layers, onions have layers, art has layers. And that's something people have to keep in mind when drawing. Anyway, I hope that made sense. When my teacher first explained this to me, it did take me a while to understand what he was talking about 100%. As you may have noticed throughout this video, I have been using the very advice that I have been giving you in order to create the illustration for this video. As I started with simple pencil sketches of just expressions that were free while using my face as a reference. That would be step 1. Step 2, I would scan it into my computer because I am using digital art. For people that don't want to use digital art, I'd recommend using a lightbox, as keeping your sketches is always important, especially when looking back on your previous works. And as you can see, I am now drawing over my sketches on a new layer in Clip Studio Paint, making a digital sketch over my pencil sketch of a more rough idea of what I want to create. Personally, I've always found this to be very helpful. This way you can layer ideas and layer detail through each different sketch. And I found personally it's best to keep sketches like this. It's a lot easier when you're doing it with digital art, but it is possible through traditional art with just more paper and a lightbox. But once you are happy with the more detailed sketch, then you can start working on the 3rd or 4th, depending on how much detail you want to add, drawing stage of your illustration. This is where you would do the line art or the more sophisticated detail that you want to put in your artwork. As you can see here, I am now turning my expressions into jack-o'-lanterns. I have given them pumpkin faces and are using the typical carving of the jack-o'-lanterns to illustrate the expressions from my sketches. And as you can see, little by little, the design of the expressions has changed slightly, especially when using them to show the detail of a jack-o'-lantern's carved face, as you have the carving of the eyes, and that the inside of the jack-o'-lantern is hollow. If you want to be a little bit nitpicky like me, then you'll change the expressions slightly, just to give everything more balance in the illustration. So that is my tips and tutorial for drawing expressions. I know it's probably not like the typical tutorials seen online, but this is my first time doing a video like this, so please bear with me. I probably should have written a script for this, but I've never been very good with scripts. What I employ you to do is to just take what I've said into consideration and then try it out for yourselves, or even draw along with the video. And just try not to think too much about whether your sketching looks pretty or not. As I have found when looking at artwork, that is the main thing with most people's work. I also want to apologise for my voice. I'm not feeling very well, which is why this video is out late. I've got a bit of a cold, and if you hear whinging in the background, I'm very sorry. My dog won't stop whinging at me. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. You can find links to my social media down below in the description. I'll also be putting in some links to some books that are very good for explaining expressions and drawing that I found very helpful throughout my artistic journey. So they will be linked down in the description below. And if you like what you've seen today, subscribe and like if you feel so inclined. Thank you very much. Have a great October and bye bye.